audio was off. While we're waiting for some to come on, can the devotees that are here introduce themselves and tell us where they're from? Is that possible?
Yeah, if everybody will
I-
write that information on the group, Hare
Yeah,
Krishna, everybody.
chatting is great.
Welcome.
Yeah, just audio
We
might take too long.
Yeah, please welcome everybody. We're here. Travali Das is going to introduce our reading club today, but it will be nice if you can all write your name and where are you from or where you live. That will be so nice. Thank you, everybody. Please on the chat box.
How many are here now, probably?
We have
31?
31, yeah.
30, 32?
Okay, I think we might start, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we'll just keep admitting people as they come in, devotees.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, everyone, again. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. My name is Taravali Devidasi. I'm from Toronto, Canada, and I'm fortunate to help Sangeeta Mataji with Vaishnavas C.A.R.E. So I'm really honored to do this service, and we also have Kandarpika Dasi on the team. She's part of the international team as well, and let me introduce you Rasika also, who will be facilitating our readings. And of course, I would be honored to introduce Sangeeta Mataji, the author of The Final Journey. Hare Krishna. It's so wonderful that Mataji is able to join us today. And as Gita Nagari, I'm just seeing the messages where devotees are from. We have, sorry to kind of be a little bit off track, but we have devotees from so many parts of the world. So I even wrote it down. We have devotees from Canada, US, Mauritius, South Africa, UK, India, Czech Republic, Turkey, Hungary, Switzerland, Croatia, and Israel. Yes, devotees have joined us from different parts of the world, and we are hoping that from these readings, devotees will get to know about Vaishnavas C.A.R.E. project, what it does, and also will get to know Sangeeta Mataji and get inspired, hopefully, in this very much needed service, and take the online seminar down the road, and then and also form a team maybe in their respective communities or temples. So that's kind of our ultimate hope and prayer, because this is a very needed service. So yes, let me go back to introducing Sangeeta Mataji. I'm sure many of you know her, but if you're not, Sangeeta Mataji is a Srila Prabhupada's disciple. She has been a hospice registered nurse for, please correct me if I'm wrong on anything, for over 40 years, right? More?
I've been doing this for 30 years, actually.
30 years, okay. 30 years. And Mataji has been very instrumental in opening Bhaktivedanta Hospice in Vrindavan, which is now known as Bhaktivedanta Hospital, along with Giraj Maharaj. And she has written this wonderful book, Final Journey, which is a complete hospice care for departing Vaishnavas, which we're going to get to very soon. And Mataji founded Vaishnavas C.A.R.E. project in 2000, so it's been around for many years, and we have various teams, Vaishnava C.A.R.E. teams around the world, who have been assisting devotees in different capacities, especially those who are sick and dying, who are leaving their bodies. And Mataji also has written, has composed a seminar. It was given in person many times, and also it's available online. We will send all the information to devotees shortly. So please correct me. Yes, she's also a certified grief counselor and certified grief educator. She's always learning, even now. It's amazing, very inspiring. And just assisting so many devotees on personally on, like, devotees are calling and need some help with grief, or any questions on end of life, anything. So please let me know if I missed anything. I'm really sorry. And we would like to mention one more thing, that in about after 3 reading sessions, we'll have Q&A session with Sangeeta Mataji based on the book, where you'll be able to ask questions and Mataji will be able to respond. It's going to be a very interactive session. And meanwhile, if you have any questions from after each session, we will open the WhatsApp chat group for about 2 hours or so. You will be able to type your questions and we will answer them based on, if it's technical question, then it goes to us. If it's more related to the book, then Sangeeta Mataji will be able to answer herself. I hope that's okay with everyone. And each session will take about 45 minutes every Sunday. And what else? So yeah, I think we're good to start. So I'm just gonna pass on the microphone to Sangeeta Mataji to say a few words to devotees about this book and just to welcome you all. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Charavali and Kandarpika Rasika. Thank you to all of you who are here. I am floored that there's so many of you here and that you're willing to read the book together. I wanted to say that this was the first edition of the Final Journey. This is what came out in before this one. And this was the first edition, and then it sold out. Torchlight Publishing was so kind to publish this one. It was an amazing story how this happened. I was in Vrindavan. I had just taken care of my husband's mother for a year with cancer, and I had this realization that ISKCON needed a book. We needed a manual, a journal, we needed a guide, how to take care of someone, a devotee that was facing end of life, and a loved one, a family member, like my mother-in-law. And she wasn't a devotee, but we needed it to have some kind of book in our movement, how to take care of somebody who was facing the end of life. So I went to Vrindavan to put her ashes in the Jamuna, and I spoke to a god brother of mine, and I went around and asked senior devotees, what do you think? Do we need a book? Do we need a guide in our movement on how to take care of our loved ones and the dying devotees? And they all said yes. So I thought about it and thought about it. And then when it was time for me to leave Vrindavan, leave India, I was packing. The taxi was at the gate of MVT waiting for me. And my godbrother, who ran MVT at the time, was banging on my door. Come quick. The devotee, our godbrother who runs MVT, is here downstairs. I told him about your idea for this book and he wants to see you. So I ran downstairs to his office and he said, tell me about your idea. So I told him about it. He said, will there be pain management in there? Will you have a chapter on pain management? I said, yes, definitely. And also a chapter on symptom management. And he said, write the book and I will publish it. And that's how it happened. So I went in a taxi. I went with my god sister to the Delhi airport, and we got on the plane and I went, oh my God, I need to write a book now. Okay, so that's how it happened. So the whole way home, 14 hours back to America, I thought about, now what? Now what? And I made notes the whole time. So I went back and I spent the following year writing this book. And this was the first edition. It sold out quickly. And then in 2000, I did the second edition. That's this one that's available now. It's selling out quickly, but I do have one box left, and that's this. So that's the one we're going to be reading now. And when Kandarpika, she's the director of the Latin American Vaishnavas C.A.R.E team. She does an amazing job. And she's done 2 readings in Spanish so far of the 2nd edition. And her idea was to have all the devotees on the reading take turns reading. So Rasika is going to start the reading, and then if anybody wants to take turns reading, please raise your hand. Is that how you do it? And then everybody can take turns reading some pages if you'd like. Okay, so please everyone take turns and participate. Okay, so Rasika, can you begin, please?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Yes, of course. We can start reading this wonderful book. And so we have the cover here, as Mataji Sangita was showing us, such a beautiful cover with Krishna and Gopakumar. I really like it, so beautiful. So we have the contents here, the table of contents. So many wonderful topics to go through. And this is the first part. So I'm going to start. I'm sorry. Praise for the final journey. Sangita's book is compassionate, practical, and wise. Krishna conscious. This is from Guru Ashwani. If someone is physically, emotionally, and mentally pain-free, has other symptoms well managed, and is rightly situated spiritually, he will experience an auspicious, most glorious passing away. So affirms Susan Pattinson, R.N. Sangita Devidasi, in The Final Journey, Complete Hospice Care for Departing Vaishnavas, where she gives relevant information for the care of the dying gained from years of practice as a hospice nurse and practice of sadhana bhakti under Srila Prabhupada, her spiritual master. Indeed, the book is a veritable goldmine of valuable information. Her presentation showing how the aforesaid can be realized is exhaustive and profoundly sensitive. Painstakingly, she indicates how hospice care for certain terminally ill can facilitate that glorious death for which all Vaishnavas aspire. The late Sarah Kainer Schofield, doctorate, PhD, Shanagati Devidasi, former director of volunteers, Albert Einstein Medical Center, Hospice. Would anyone like to read the next paragraph?
I don't want to read, but can I make a request? Is it possible to make the print larger?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Rasika. Is it?
Yeah.
Do you think it would be better to just go right into the introduction, or like?
Oh yes. That was what I was thinking too, but I should have asked you. Okay, so should we do the introduction first, or go to the first chapter?
I think introduction is nice. It's
Okay,
so long
perfect.
here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me.
And do you want to zoom in? Sorry, just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can read the introduction if you'd like, and then you can go on with the chapter 1. Is that okay?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So introduction. With the inevitable aging of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, and later his grand disciples, the Bhaktivedanta Hospice, was inaugurated in Vrindavan, India in 2010. For qualified Vaishnava doctors and nurses to care for devotees of Lord Krishna in the holy Dham is a most wonderful tribute to his divine grace. Serving those who are preparing for death encompasses all of the knowledge Srila Prabhupada gave us. Realistically, however, not everyone will be able to relocate to Vrindavan when diagnosed with a terminal illness. This does not mean that his or her passing away cannot be auspicious as well. In the Bhagavad Gita as it is, 6:11-12, Srila Prabhupada writes, sacred place refers to places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, transcendentalists, or the devotees all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Hrishikesh, and Hardwar, and in solitude practice yoga where the sacred rivers like the Jamuna and the Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for Westerners. Therefore, in the Naradiya Purana, it is said that in Kali Yuga, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. We can learn from this purport about the potency of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When devotees face a terminal illness and are unable to travel to the holy Dham, chanting and hearing this transcendental sound vibration will transform any environment into a holy place. This was the gift given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who appeared in India over 500 years ago to teach the method of achieving God consciousness in this present age. To further establish this point, Srila Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita 8:15, the special qualification of the pure devotee is that he is always thinking of Krishna without considering the time or place. There should be no impediments. He should be able to carry out his service anywhere and at any time. Some say that the devotee should remain in holy places like Vrindavan or some holy town where the Lord lived, but a pure devotee can live anywhere and create the atmosphere of Vrindavan by his devotional service. It was Sri Adwaita who told Lord Chaitanya, wherever you are, O Lord, there is Vrindavan. Certainly, I emphasize this point not to minimize the spiritual benefit of leaving one's body in the holy Dham. After all, Srila Prabhupada himself exemplified this importance when he traveled to Vrindavan to spend his final days. I simply wish to encourage those who are unable to do so and who now face the most significant challenge of their lives. For those in need of this guide, it should be noted that it is not meant to replace a physician's advice or the care of a qualified hospice nurse. In the West, most hospices will send experienced nurses to the home for visits. If trained properly, they should be non-judgmental and accepting of our spiritual beliefs. They should be able to work around our dietary needs as well as cooperate, if not appreciate, the importance of the patient wearing tilak, sacred clay markings, tulsi neck beads, and having devotees present to chant and read scripture to the dying Vaishnava. In general, hospice nurses do not spend a lengthy time at the home, but will make a few home visits every week, depending on the need.
The reader is muted.
Dear Sangeeta Mataji, you are muted. Can you unmute it? Your microphone?
How's that?
No,
Better?
no, it's yeah. Can you read the last sentence, please?
Yeah. In general, hospice nurses do not spend a lengthy time at the home, but will make a few home visits every week, depending on the need. Their job is to assess the patient for pain and other symptom management, as well as to make themselves available for emotional support for the patient, family, and other caregivers, if desired. An experienced hospice nurse will take the time to answer questions from the patient and caregivers. Not all nurses can care for the dying, and a good hospice nurse can offer many valuable services. Presently, our ISKCON movement has a few trained nurses in this field. Remember, this was written in 2000. But our hope is to increase this number through awareness of its need, as well as its many transcendental rewards. Whether you are caring for a family member, senior Vaishnava, godbrother, or godsister, you have a challenging time ahead of you. This book is meant to serve as a guide so the reader may understand the hospice philosophy and how it relates to Krishna consciousness, basic terminology and concepts, and care of the patient from a Vaishnava perspective. I humbly offer this book as a service to my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as well as to all the Vaishnava devotees of this world who are serving Lord Chaitanya's movement by caring for each other. Sangeeta Devi Dasi, Krishna Balaram Mandir, Vrindavan, India, March 21st, 2000. Revised edition, December 16th, 2010. This was on Mokshada Ekadasi, Gita Jayanti. Thank you. Okay, chapter 1.
Thank you so much for reading the introduction. And would anyone like to continue reading on this part? We have Rajesvari Krandan.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can continue reading.
Yes,
Hare
thank you so
Krishna.
much.
What is hospice? A history of the hospice movement. In medieval times, weary travelers on their way to or from the Holy Land on religious pilgrimage found rest, food, and comfort at monasteries along the way. Because the journey was often long and harsh, many travelers became ill and spent their final days at these shelters, which were eventually known as hospices. The word hospice is derived from the Latin word hospitium, meaning a guest house. At these safe havens, under the care of benevolent strangers, many of them monks and nuns, these weak and dying pilgrims found refuge. Much later, in 1879, the Irish Sisters of Charity opened hospices in Dublin and then in London in 1905. They believed that death was one stage of a longer journey. Over time, this concept was all but lost until a reawakening occurred in 1960s when Dr. Cicely Saunders, a British physician, founded the modern hospice movement. At St. Christopher's Hospice near London, Dr. Saunders developed a model for hospice care. She is credited with starting the first program to use modern pain management for compassionate care of the dying. She also taught that the dying patient and families should be treated holistically, caring for their emotional, mental, and spiritual needs. Dr. Saunders' contribution to the modern hospice movement cannot be compared. In the United States, the National Hospice Organization was formed in 1979. In 1983, Congress passed the Medicare hospice benefit. It was not until 1988 that the International Hospice Institute helped form the Academy of Hospice Physicians. At present, there are thousands of hospice programs in the United States alone. Some provide an inpatient unit, usually in a wing of a hospital or in a long-term care facility, which offers symptom management in acute situations, short-term respite for the caregivers when needed, and 24 hours nursing care when home care is not possible. But hospice is not a place. Most hospice care occurs in the home. It is an ideal achieved through a team approach for the care and comfort of the dying patient. Generally, this team consists of a physician who is knowledgeable in pain and other symptom management, a hospice nurse trained in holistic care, a nurse's aide who assist in bathing, skin care, and other comfort measures, a pastor or other spiritual counselor, a social worker, a bereavement counselor, and volunteers who visit the patient in the home. The caregiver, who is usually a family member or close friend, is an integral part of the team. The professional members of the team educate, encourage, and support the patient, family members, and caregivers. Each members of the team should complement the other. Together, they assist in improving the final days of the patient and provide emotional and spiritual support for his or her loved ones.
Can I
In
just say something? Excuse me for 1 minute. So the point is that the hospice staff not only takes care of the dying patient, but they also care for the entire family. Okay, they take care of the patient physically, of course, and emotionally, mentally, socially, spiritually, but they also take care of the patient's family, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, everything except the physical part, of course, because it's the patient who's sick, but they also care for the family in those other ways. Okay. It's totally different than what you would get in a hospital, where the families may be waiting in the waiting room. They're told to please leave the patient's room for a few minutes while the staff takes care of the patient. Please wait out in the hallway. It totally involves the family. Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure, Mataji. In a sense, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, presently stands on the brink of expanding the hospice movement by integrating the knowledge of hospice care for the dying with the spiritual wisdom given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Increasingly, we hear about devotees in our movement requiring end-of-life care. We need to embrace this situation as an ever-expanding opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas. If we gather our spiritual strength by taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada's teachings and also learning the concepts and practicalities of hospice care, we can, as a movement, develop a Krishna conscious hospice program to care for those devotees in need of such a service. In the Bhagavad Gita, as it is 2:27, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, for one who has taken birth, death is certain, and for one who is dead, birth is certain. Who among us will not be in need of this service at some point in our own lives? If we rise to this challenge, surely His divine grace will be pleased.
Thank you
Hospice.
so much,
Thank you.
Participant. Thank you. Thank you for reading.
That was
And
wonderful
we have
reading.
also
Thank you.
Karuna Purna Shakti. Would you like to
Thank
continue, please?
you. Hospice and palliative care. According to the World Health Organization, palliative care is the actual total care of patients whose disease is not responsive to curative treatment. Control of pain, of other symptoms, and of psychological, social, and spiritual problems is paramount. The goal of palliative care is achievement of the best possible quality of life for patients and their families. Palliative care has its origin in the hospice movement. The two terms hospice care and palliative care refer to the holistic care of the patient. Both provide pain and symptom management. Palliative treatments often involve surgery, radiation therapy, and chemotherapy, for example, as a means for pain and symptom control. These same treatments can also be performed as aggressive treatments in hope of curing the disease. In hospice care, however, the cure is not considered possible, and there is no longer hope of prolonging life. The goal of hospice and palliative care is to give the patient the best possible quality of remaining life. Generally, a patient should be encouraged to accept hospice care when his or her prognosis is 6 months or less. This allows time for emotional and spiritual counseling so the patient and family members can accept the inevitable. For a devotee, this process does not differ. Hospice care encompasses a philosophy that embraces 6 concepts. Death is a natural part of life. When death is inevitable, hospice will neither seek to hasten nor postpone it. The clinical goal of hospice is to establish pain and other symptom management. Hospice recognizes death as a spiritual and physical experience. Psychological and spiritual pain are as significant as physical pain. The patient, family, and loved ones are cared for as one unit. Hospice care includes bereavement counseling for loved ones after the death of the patient. Hospice care should be made available to patients and families in need, regardless of their ability to pay. A patient receiving hospice care is often referred for palliative treatments to relieve symptoms. Radiation therapy, for example, is often used to diminish the size of a tumor, thus reducing pain. In fact, palliative radiotherapy is the treatment of choice for cancer-related bone pain. This often improves the quality of life for the hospice patient. When considering these options, it is important for the patient to make an educated decision, weighing the side effects of such treatments against the pain or other symptoms he or she is experiencing.
Great. Can I ask one question of the readers? Okay, so I said in here that, can I go down a little bit? Psychological, emotional pain, it's as significant as the physical pain. But out of all of those types of pain, what is the first one that should be addressed with the hospice staff? Out of
I
the,
don't know.
Anybody else want to take a guess?
Physical pain, how much is the pain? A psychological pain, you should be dealt with the family. Yeah.
Out of psychological pain, emotional pain, mental pain, spiritual pain, physical pain, out of all of those types of pain, we first address the physical pain because if somebody is in bed writhing in physical pain and you say, but Prabhu, chant Hare Krishna.
No, that won't help. She needs
It won't help.
medicine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little repositioning might help.
Yeah, repositioning, medication, whatever the staff can do to help the person become comfortable physically, because you're not going to be able to deal with their emotions, their mental state, their spiritual pain. It's not going to happen unless they're physically comfortable.
Right.
Okay, so physically, you need to make them comfortable first. Then you can address the other types of pain. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
Okay, let's move on. That was great. Do you still want to continue reading?
If there's somebody else who would like to, I'm happy to let them.
Okay, anybody else? That was great reading, by the way.
Gopali, would you like to continue?
Hare Krishna, yes, I'd like to read. Where must I continue from? For example, okay. For example, I spent 1 year caring for my husband's mother who was dying of breast cancer that had metastasized, spread to the liver, lymphatic system, bone, and lungs. Although she was receiving hospice care, the pain in her pelvic area caused by a tumor was preventing her from walking. After discussing with her the possible side effects of radiation therapy, such as skin redness, burning, nausea, and vomiting, she decided to proceed with palliative radiation. After only a few weeks, her pain was significantly reduced and she was able to walk with the cane for a few months longer. Side effects were few and the radiation therapy improved the quality of her remaining life. On the contrary, I also cared for a hospice patient whose physician had recommended simultaneous chemotherapy and radiation treatments to reduce a tumor in his lung. If successful, his breathing would have become less labored. Instead, uncontrollable side effects such as sore throat, nausea, vomiting, skin burns, and fatigue made his daily life unbearable. After fully understanding that his lung cancer would quickly spread if these palliative treatments were stopped, this man chose to live out the remainder of his life using less aggressive symptom management techniques. Being allowed to make a well-informed decision about treatment options allowed him some minute control at a time when he was discovering just how powerless he really was.
Yeah, I remember him. Go on.
Experiencing a terminal illness. As devotees of Lord Krishna, we practice bhakti yoga as a means for self-realization. We try to live each day, each moment, serving Lord Krishna and our Guru. We are intellectually aware that death can come at any moment. But even the great Vaishnava Yudhisthira Maharaj observed that the greatest wonder in this world is that we see living beings die all around us, yet we still believe that this will never happen to us. This form of denial is the greatest illusion in the material world. When a devotee is diagnosed with a terminal illness, it is quite sobering, to say the least. Suddenly, he must confront what he has always accepted intellectually, that death can come at any moment. Yet, because each of us stands in a different place on the spiritual path of Krishna consciousness, we will all feel differently receiving such a prognosis. Of course, we all know that the ultimate goal of life is to become pure in our Krishna consciousness. We can remind the dying devotee that it is the greatest blessing to know when we are going to die. Realistically, though, not every devotee will remember this after being told he has 6 months or less to live. Each of us brings into the illness our own fears, needs, past experiences, and conditioning. Therefore, it is important to be sensitive to the mental, emotional, and spiritual pain the dying devotee may experience. Devotees, regardless of ashram, must be allowed the freedom to express their feelings and emotions concerning the impending death. Without these anxieties being addressed, a devotee will not become peaceful. Without peace, how can he remember Krishna? The following are some expected and perhaps some unexpected emotional anxieties that the devotee may experience. The caregiver's role is to empathize with the devotee, to reassure him, and to be a sounding board when needed. At times, the patience of the caregiver may be tested. Please note, not everyone will experience these thoughts and emotions. They are simply common anxieties observed in many patients. Loss of control. Major and daily decisions that impact my life appear to be taken away from me. Uncomfortable. Visitors tend to have superficial conversations and avoid eye contact due to their own discomfort. They seem horrified at seeing the physical changes caused by my disease. Deprived of my individuality.
Excuse me, I had a patient. I was working in an inpatient hospice unit in a hospital. He came in with cancer of the face. Can you imagine what his face looked like? It was eaten away. And he had been in his apartment, and the only person he ever saw was his housekeeper. He wouldn't leave his apartment. So the social worker thought it would be good for him to socialize with other patients and families and staff in the inpatient hospice unit. What do you think he did the whole time he was in there for 10 days? He stayed in his room. He was mortified at seeing anyone. His whole face was eaten away by the cancer. So sometimes you can change their situation and hope against hope that they will feel more comfortable in a different situation. But like this man, he wasn't. He was still very uncomfortable seeing anyone
He
because
had
of
he had no hope, right?
no,
Mm.
no. Go ahead, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add that. Continue, please, reading. Thank you.
Deprived of my individuality. I am not given the freedom to express my feelings and emotions for fear of being criticized or even laughed at. Vulnerable. I find myself experiencing mood swings, sometimes within the same day or hour. Sometimes I want to be alone, and sometimes I want the comfort of others. Fear. Even though I have firm faith in my spiritual beliefs, I sometimes experience momentary doubts. I'm afraid to express this to anyone. This makes me afraid to die. I'm also afraid of the pain I'm facing with this disease.
This is
Anger.
different. This is no different with devotees. Please don't think that devotees don't feel some of these, if not all of them. Go ahead.
Anger. I find myself asking, why? I wanted to do so much more in my life. What will happen to my family? I sometimes get angry with the Lord for doing this to me. Guilt. I feel guilty for having these fears and anger. I should be stronger. I feel like a burden to my caregivers. Sad. I feel alone. No one can relate to what I'm going through.
Thank you so much, Gopali. And thank you everyone for participating in this beautiful reading. And now we're going to ask you if you could all turn on your cameras. We would like to take a picture of everyone in this session today.
If you're comfortable, of course.
Yes, exactly.
I see all of your beautiful Vaishnava faces. Jai. Oh, there you are. Wonderful, beautiful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating in this project. This is wonderful. Does anybody have any questions real fast? Can we ask that, Charavali? Is there a moment we can do this?
It's already 45 minutes, so at 45 minutes, so if that's okay, we will open the floor on the WhatsApp group, and then devotees will be able to ask questions right there. Just because we want to be sensitive of time, devotees' time.
Okay.
If that's okay, I'm so sorry. I don't like this role.
I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't have commented, but I just want to make sure you
No, that was wonderful. That was.
I just want to make sure that you understand fully like what I wrote in the book, because there's some background to it. And I mentioned a lot of patients that I dealt with in the book, and I just want to make things clear.
No, of course. No, that was very nice. If that's okay, we'll just do questions in the WhatsApp group for about a few hours. Devotees are able to interact. That's okay, yeah?
So when are we going to answer those questions? Will there be a session where we just do the Q&A?
Yes, so after 3 readings, the sesh readings, so we'll have 2 more reading sessions, like next Sunday, Sunday after that. And then
Okay.
following Sunday, we'll have the Q&A session with you. It's just Q&A.
Okay. I am simply Taravali's servant, so
No,
whatever.
I'm
she
yours.
tells me to
I'm
do,
yours.
I
I'm so
do.
sorry.
Okay.
Hey, did we take a picture?
Yeah.
Yes,
Everybody ready
we
for a
have.
picture?
And let's take another one right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hey,
Sure.
Lalita Priya. Very
Thank
cool.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have
So
another one.
we'll send the registration link for this wonderful reading session. So we're asking devotees to please share it with your friends and circle, with your whoever you know, maybe even leaders of your community, so we can just spread the word about this much needed service.
We really need hospice in this movement. When I wrote this back in 1999, there were hardly anybody was leaving back then. But I mean, it's inevitable that there's going to be devotees leaving. And since then, there's been 3 Prabhupada disciples around the world that left in one day. That happened twice. 3 in one day around the world, twice. So it's, not just Prabhupada disciples, but disciples of the gurus around the world are leaving much younger than we had anticipated. you know, they need this. They need Vaishnavas care teams and trained devotees to care for them. I see Vatsala is on
Yes.
here. Where's
Yes.
Vatsala? Raise your hand, Vatsala. She's one member of our Philadelphia team where I live, and she does amazing work with the devotees. Lalita Priya is on our Toronto team with Taravali. Anybody else on any of our teams around the world? But you're going to be. Before we're done, you're going to be starting a team or joining a team where you are. So I really, really appreciate you being here. And just so that you have the desire to do this service. It's so, so important. So when I wrote this book, it was because I felt like it was like a calling that Srila Prabhupada called me to do this. I really felt like Prabhupada wanted this hospice mission in our movement. He wanted this for us. So we need to take care of one another all through life, but also at the time of death. Pardon me?
No, it's just somebody got unmuted by mistake. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you,
I'll go
Thank
everybody.
you.
to Srila Prabhupada. We'll
you
see you
so
next
much,
week.
Mother Sangha.
Bye. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you so much. Hare
Wait,
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
have a
Hare
wonderful
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Bol.